Hello, and welcome to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
Two tapes. You could...
Oh, yeah.
And then if you would hold down record and like fast forward or record and play so that it sped it up, you could record yourself doing in like the Chipmunks voice.
Yeah.
And oh my God, dude, I just straight up almost pissed my pants a number of times.
Yeah.
Like, and now here's how with the weather. It's gonna rain. It's fucking rain. Always it's rain. And then play it back, and then
just fucking
eventually it just stopped with like the DJ song shit. It was just like, what is the worst, most obscene thing that we could record in an Alvin and the Chipmunks thing?
Yeah.
And not piss ourselves all the way.
Yeah, we used to do that shit. Brent Schuler would come over, and we would just fucking die laughing, making commercials and stuff.
Yeah.
Just dumb shit, too. Like, I'm sure if I listened to it now, it'd be like, whoa, what was that?
Yeah.
But back then, we would just fucking die laughing. We would record it and laugh and fucking play it back and laugh and then do it again.
I was watching some random car, I think they're out of Canada, Throttle House. I think it's called Throttle House. And they were reviewing something old. I think it was the first gen Miata, so the 90s one that had came from some sort of dealer or like historical place of Mazdas in Canada, and they lent them the original one and then the current latest edition ND as a here's where we started and here's how far we've come. Give us your take kind of thing.
Right.
And so the deck is like a cassette tape deck. Yeah. And I went, man, like that's what those decks, I mean, that's what radios were.
Yeah.
In the 90s, well, obviously 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But when I came up into cars and interest in cars, and then owning one, the medium wasn't even CDs yet. The medium was tapes, was cassettes.
My first car had a factory Panasonic tape deck. It was a really nice deck, actually. They actually put a decent Panasonic tape deck in there. That motherfucker got used so much that you could start to hear the heads get misaligned, and I would have to pull it out and pop all the screws on the top and then put a tape in it while it was all connected and run the tape and then align the heads while it was playing so it sounded good, and then put it all back together and put it back in the car. And I had to do that multiple times because that's how much tapes happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
I was buying like the expensive tapes because I wanted the best possible quality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And most of that was recording LPs. Like most of that came from recording LPs to tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could fit like 2 to 3 LPs on a tape. Or if it was a punk rock LP, it was a couple more. The songs are only 35 seconds.
Thanks.
That's track one.
There we go.
Yeah.
And now our...
Yeah. And then with that deck, it had an auxiliary input, which was not that common back then. And the first thing I had was it wasn't even a Sony. It was I think it was a Panasonic Discman, and it didn't even have skip protection. And so that was how I got CDs in the car, was through the auxiliary input, which connected into the front of the radio.
Yeah.
And then eventually I would upgrade. This one broke or whatever, and I'd take it back, and we don't have that one anymore. And then I'd upgrade. Yeah. So it was cheaper. And then I'd get the next one, and this one had skip protection. And then eventually I got like a little platform that I screwed to the tunnel in the car that had a little
shake.
And you could Velcro it to the shake table, and it was right where people's calves would be if they were sitting in the passenger seat. And I was like, "Fucking deal with it," because we got kick-ass tunes. You know what I mean? And that was, and it wasn't for a while until I finally had an in-dash CD player, and then it was like, well, I'm not gonna buy just an in-dash player. It's got to be removable chassis.
Oh yeah, that was
because you don't want that shit getting stolen. You know,
right?
And in that car,
did that actually get used as much as you figured it would?
Oh, it got removed all the time. Even when I went to work, it got yanked.
I remember I mean, that was the hot thing at high school for me in the 90s too. But
carrying around your deck with you
up in there, that didn't happen. Oh. It was like, yeah, it's a removable. Oh. And outside the one or two times you would get in some dude's car who was showing you around, and he showed you that he could pull his deck out.
Yeah.
I never saw anybody carrying around their decks. Now, the detachable faces, that did happen. Yeah. People would take their faces off.
Yeah.
But the removable deck itself didn't happen. And I think a lot of that was probably attributed to most of those kids and kids my age were not fully securing the actual
the
sleeve itself. And if you were to try and fucking yank out your deck, you would yank the entire deck out, not the.
And then it would just go anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you'd be like, well, shit.
I mean, I was pretty adamant about how it got installed because I did it all myself. But that car, it was a 91 Civic Si, and the way that the single DIN setup kind of worked, you could really easily get to the back of it.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm pulling this motherfucker out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to stay in the car. So if I went to work or school, I don't know. I wasn't even going to school. Yeah, it was because I was going to AR back then. So when I parked at the parking lot at AR, it would go with me. It would go in my backpack. And then eventually I got a detachable face that had a case. So you put it in the case and throw it in your bag. And that was the shit.
If I was going to ever be parking somewhere public and I had some sort of option like that, I'd be rigging up full size like skit. Like it would I pull a deck out and then I've got prop random like harness cables that I could just throw in the dash so it looks like, nah man, you're you're second fiddle. Someone already came in here and then
yeah.
I would go to that elaboration just to make sure that no one fucked with it. Like someone's already been here. Move along.
It's interesting to see where stereos have gone because most now are double DIN. It's not often now that cars are single DIN.
Yeah.
And then even now, I want to say like your car and my car specifically, you can't put a radio in those. Like I don't think in my car it's not. I mean, it's possible. There are these crazy aftermarket like screen replacement they call it Tesla style that are big giant screens, but they're not CarPlay capable. They're Android Auto, or they run Android in the background.
Yeah.
And they don't keep all of your stuff.
Right.
And it also does all of your, because all my controls for my heater and all that stuff are electronic, right? They're all just touch button.
Right.
And so that gets rid of all that stuff in the stack and just replaces it with the screen. And I'm like, no, there's no way I'm going to do that.
Yeah. When I looked at, and I really think for me that edged to a close with, I did not even replace the deck in Grimlock. I did speakers, but not the
really?
Not the deck because it just
wasn't
it was much
deck.
Yeah. And the thing was, it didn't, with just replacing the speakers, it made it enough of a thing where I was okay with it.
Yeah.
A lot of the apprehension there was as how contoured the face was. I was always like, I don't want to get something in here and replace it with like this where you've got gaps.
Well, you got a square thing that's kind of being shaped around it with the bezel.
Right. And so I'm like, I don't want to fuck with it. My own like retentiveness about how is someone really going to put that kind of quality in on this like minimal degree curvature.
I get that.
So I just never bothered looking. Now, that being said, when I got into the Ford, like yours, so much of it is wrapped through the in-car can that it was like, that's not worth it. But
it's so integrated,
right?
That, like it's almost impossible to really do it right.
But to do the speaker part, there are a number of aftermarket opportunities as well as things that you can buy to leverage the existing CAN network of the car and upgrade the fidelity of your audio within whatever limits you want,
right?
And keep all of those other things. Do you replace the screen? I did not. Are there options? Sure, but that was like one extra step too far for me. That I'm like, well, if I can do the fidelity part, if I can control that and do what I want, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm fine there. I don't really need to change. I'm fine with the screen size and what the screen does and the touch sensitivity. I have no bitches and moans about that.
Right.
So, I didn't. Now, the Miata, when I started looking for decks, because it's like a Bose thing too, and it's as well, I think the Subaru might have had a Bose. Anyway, the face and center console area of the Miata are almost this like unibody thing that doesn't look like it's something where it doesn't have like a DIN where you can like, this is the
so the
part.
Radio is all built into
it's like
the
all
thing?
This unit. And so I went, well, there's no way this is possible. It's like almost the same scenario as Grimlock was.
I would assume that it has a DIN style thing in the back, and it probably comes out.
Right.
And then if you wanted to put your own head unit in there, you would have to replace that whole plastic piece.
You do. Yeah. And because I was looking, Crutchfield has that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They go, it won't become a singular faceplate. Here's how you relocate the climate control into its own panel. We have that.
Right.
And here is how you create the surface panel that matches with a single or double DIN. So the apprehensiveness I had with doing the Subaru and the Miata is I've now seen these solutions. They're actually there, and they look really nice.
Right.
Like, I'll be damned. Fuck, if I'd have known, who knows?
Yeah.
But there are solutions available, and they look actually quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, like on the ATS, like, I love the touch interface and the Q system. Cadillac user experience is what they call it, Q system. That works well. I mean, I don't have any problems with that. And I don't want to change. I wouldn't want to change DIN, with a DIN style setup anyway, because especially the way the dashboard is made and it has a specific look and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been looking at the same thing that you kind of did in the RS, which is like a DSP on the back end, and then replacing all the speakers and then putting, amps in to replace the factory stuff.
Right.
So you use the head unit just to provide the audio out to your DSP, and then your DSP now is what's controlling everything that goes to your amps and speakers.
Right.
And that's a great solution, except it's pricey.
Oh, yeah. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very expensive. Just the DSP alone for my car, because it's like 10 speakers system, is $699 or $599 or $600 or $700, and I'm like, I got other stuff I need to spend money on right now.
Yeah.
So, and then that's not including amps. That's not including speakers.
Yeah.
And so we go. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it gets away real fast.
Yeah.
It's funny. So hey, if you're here,
if you've made it this far,
it's like 10, 15 minutes.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Sad Dad's Club podcast. We do car audio and fence buildings.
Sometimes we'll build a fence around your car audio.
Right. Hey, I was just watching, because it's like the 20 or 30 something anniversary. It's 25, 25th anniversary of the Fast and the Furious movies.
Oh, yeah. Quite a few discussions about that.
There was. And so I had a couple here in the house. So I'd been watching the first one over again.
Uh-huh.
I have watched that many times, especially, decade plus ago when that was like the hotness. Like I enjoyed looking at all those cars. The movies and their plots it's thin, but street racing, and like all those things interested me. Looking at the guts and gore of cars and the car culture was always entertaining to me. But this last time in watching it, I think we were talking shit in some of the Discord with Mike, like talking about how some of these things just didn't make sense, and it was almost like they were just jawing to make conversation. I had then taken that to the kitchen at some point, and I'm talking to Venus about even weirder shit that happened in the second movie. I'm like, none of this even makes sense. Like, you wouldn't even... I'm just going off the rails. Absolute worst movie critic ever. And Venus goes, you know what's happened? I'm like, what? She's like, you got old.
Yep.
And I went, no, I'm just... Oh, fuck.
Nothing is based in reality in this movie.
I'm like, God damn it. Well, maybe a little bit. So, fuck.
I mean, I liked the movie, original movie when it came out. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't really most of it was very sensationalistic.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's part of the... Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the genre, right, of that film style. The race scenes were sort of... the cars were cool, but they felt like unobtainium, and also, I'm a little older than you. So, watching that movie for me, like, the first time was sort of like, nah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get, like, everyone loves Paul Walker and all,
Yeah.
Vin and company and all that stuff. I get all that, but I don't know. It was just
the second one.
I just didn't really.
I'm
click
trying
with
to
it too
put
much.
the year on the second one, and I'm drawing a blank.
Was the first one 2004?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Do the second one, because the second one
is it Fast and
Too Fast,
Too Furious?
Too Fast, Too Furious. And the reason that's important is because I believe it's quite possible that the incessant references to bro may have spawned out of that movie. The amount of times Tyrese and Paul Walker, bro. I
don't know. You've been giving them too much credit. I think.
It absolutely just. I'm like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah,
it's too much.
Okay, so Fast and Furious came out in 2001, and Too Fast, Too Furious came out in 2003.
So 20-year anniversary.
Yeah,
because it's 2021. So 2001, 2021. It's their 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
That they also released the latest edition where they fucking launch a car with rockets into space.
Yeah, so I mean, I was like 30. You know what I mean? When the first movie came out, and it's sort of like,
I had the Eclipse.
Yeah.
So seeing the first, the opening sequence of the first movie with Paul Walker and his green ass Eclipse with that huge ass fucking guy holding a lance or something vinyl wrapped onto the side. I'm like, that's my car.
Tavarish bought someone tried to build a replica of that car.
Yeah.
They did a really bad job. And he bought, who that is?
Yes, the YouTuber car guy.
And he bought it, and he was going to try and redo it to make it a replica car, because I guess sometimes they can fetch up to $50,000.
Oh, yeah.
And so the problem is the wheels that he had on the car that he bought weren't the right wheels at all. Mm-hmm. And this is just one of many problems. And he was talking about how it's impossible to find the 18-inch wheels that he had on the car originally. You cannot find them.
Really?
They are just, they only made a certain number. They're just impossible to get. So some of the things that people are doing where they're trying to recreate some of those cars now,
right,
are next to impossible to do unless you just have really deep pockets. And
that makes sense.
They were talking about that a set of those wheels will go as high as $5,000.
I believe that.
For a set of wheels.
There are the wheels. Ken Block made them famous for a lot of the cars that he put them on for rallying. They're called Volk TEs.
Mm-hmm.
He the same kind of thing. He bought many of them.
Yeah.
And they're out of production. And
wow,
they're 3,000 to 4,000. If you can find them, someone willing to actually get rid of them, 3,000 to 6,000 for a set.
Wow.
I mean, it's stupid, but
yeah.
Those ones specifically, as far as the JDM culture go, they're like the holy grails. They actually are purpose-built, highly performance-oriented. They are really stupid light, and they're like tanks. So if you can get them...
It kind of... Why do some of these companies just keep, like, oh, shit, there's a we could be making shitloads of these.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why don't we just, like, produce, like, 300 this year?
That's what doesn't make sense with the TEs. It's like they're sought after for their lightweight and like they're tough as nails. They're like a Honda engine or a fucking VQ Nissan. Like they're rock solid.
Right.
They don't make them. Like, well, what was the replacement? Why not? Make these. I mean, people will buy these because they're good.
Was there a replacement that was far better somehow? But
I don't know.
You know, like, I don't understand that stuff.
Because they were going to, the Hoonigans, the Ken Block's people, they were replicating a build of the Ford Lightning, not the electronic one, not the EV, the Ford Lightning that Paul Walker uses in the first movie.
Yep.
It's like the shop truck.
Tavrish went to a guy that had several Fast and Furious cars that he had bought that are actually movie cars that were in the films.
Yeah.
And he actually owns that truck.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. So the Hoonigan guys were they were replicating their own, but they were putting the good Supra engine, Toyota Supra engine in it. And they were talking about wheels, and they're like, we should put the TEs on here, but we can't find.
Yeah.
So they were trying to do it too, but they were doing all kinds of extra garbage in it.
I mean, this guy was saying the same thing. Like you just can't find. You know, he goes basically if you want to make a replica of something, like one of these cars, you start with the wheels. If you can't get the wheels, don't buy the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah. Just don't start the project because you get the car body, you might be able to do 75% of everything, but that other 25% is unobtainium. The wheels, some of the dials, some of the things that go in the car, you just can't get. You just can't get them.
I don't even know how many of those companies
are
still around.
Yeah,
like when I looked at,
I wouldn't know.
Like I think I put in the Civics that they use as like their thieving cars.
Yeah,
like not too off in the boonies as far as what's on there, but I'll be honest, I didn't necessarily look at the wheels to see if those are out of production anymore.
Right.
But I'm like, there's all of the fucking Jettas and the RX-7s and the Eclipses and the Supras. Yeah. Those are game over for those rims and whatnot aside. But the Civics and what was in the Civics might not be. Now, some of the body kit stuff, possibly.
That's the other problem is body kits.
Probably. But the way eBay is structured now, who's to say?
Well, the thing of it is they were saying even with body kits is the companies that make them have changed molds over time, or the molds have evolved over time.
Yeah.
So the original kits that they may have gotten and used in the film aren't even quite the same kits, even if you could get them now.
I'd buy that.
So there's a whole lot of that kind of stuff. And so if you want to have the period correct replica, you end up having to be able to do your own stuff and like shape it yourself. And for most people, that's just out of the question.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You'd have to lose your job and become a full-time car.
Well, what does this guy do that has all these Fast and Furious cars and Paul Walker's truck? What does that guy do? I have no idea. But he had like several of them. He had, I don't remember. He had the Fast and Furious green Paul Walker car. Then he had the silver Integra, and he had another one. And then he had Paul Walker's truck. And then they were in the process of redoing a purple 240. That was part of the film, and it had just been painted and was sitting in the corner of the shop, and they showed that too. And so they're going to put it back together as the movie car, you know. And Paul Walker's actual car, the green one, they reused it and painted it blue in the second film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so he was showing, oh, look, here's blue overspray. Like, we got it all cleaned up. But here's some blue overspray in a couple of these spots. And, you know, there's no denying that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Interesting stuff. I just thought it was fascinating. Especially because
the
whole 20-year anniversary, and we've been talking about it a lot, and it's like, oh, some of the stuff has started popping up on YouTube, you know.
Yeah. Fascinating.
But
cars.
Also, I'm not really into the tuner thing like that. I love the car or the car stuff, and I don't know, I'm just not into the, you know, I'm not into the culture part of it.
Yeah.
So it's not that
we've missed that boat way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was too old.
Yeah.
I think I was too old when that.
And I never had any interest in decorating the car in that way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm much more of I've done some stuff, but I'm not going to tell you what. You would just have to find out the hard way.
Sit down.
Right.
And get in.
And, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and don't be on the other side of the light, because.
See, that's what I really like, is the sleeper stuff. Stuff that just looks normal, that all of a sudden just kicks your ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't know that car has been modded XYZ ways.
Right.
Because it just looks like it rolled off the showroom.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it just fucking killed you, and you didn't even realize why.
Yeah. That's why I get a kick out of, like, lately, Mike. I don't know what he's been looking at on Instagram, but he's getting all the funny haha Miata ones.
Right.
And that, obviously, my YouTube, in looking at some of the parts that I need to fix here on the Miata or refresh, my YouTube algorithm, like Ring of Bandits, are like tons of Miata stuff. So the culture and support and breadth of Miatas and modifications to, and the limits that people will go to and are proven in the chassis that you can
abuse them.
You can run some 6-digit price point cars right off the track with something that's got 225 horsepower, weighs 2,200 pounds, and is coming with like a stock manual transmission. Like, these cars are awesome.
Yeah.
But you've got to play with it if you want to get that out of there.
That's a nice.
Hi, wife.
That is a nice functionality to have, because I've learned from the Cadillac side of things that maybe because of the price point of the car when it first came out, or because it's a Cadillac, I don't know. There aren't really many. There's really no tuning, or there's not a lot of information about those cars. Like, I have to scour, like, YouTube. I find stuff on there, and I get recommended stuff here and there.
Right.
But a lot of it's the same thing. Like, hey, I just bought a ZZP intake and downpipe, and the ZZP turbo and catback exhaust and all this shit. And it's just like, okay, so
does it fit? Does it work?
I mean, all that stuff works and fits, but that's it. I mean, there's maybe one, like, what's the Momomito or
Mishimoto?
Mishimoto. They make a can, oil can.
Oh, catch can.
A catch can.
Yeah.
They make a catch can for it, and it's like $400 or something, you know, for a catch can. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And all the stuff from ZZP can get very pricey too, and it's like, First of all, this is a daily driver for me.
Right.
It needs to be reliable.
Right.
And I have seen firsthand from people like my son and other people who run the same car that I have on the internet. They start modifying shit, and now suddenly you're getting check engine lights and that kind of stuff. That's just not my thing. That car runs well enough on its own.
Right.
Like, I don't have any problem with what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing of it is, like, that whole tuning community for the ATS doesn't exist like it does for Honda, Subaru.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
Miatas.
That makes sense.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are...
Like, almost the branding has filtered itself off of some of that, what may be driven by youthful... not ingenuity, but tinkering.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the Cadillac. Well, no one fucks with the Cadillac, boys. You just drive it and have a good time.
I mean, there are people that are doing it, but it's not like it's a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm not doing that, so it's not like... It kind of is a bummer, but at the same time, not that much of a bummer.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm not really part of that scene.
Right. It keeps the dreams contained.
Right.
Because it's like, well, I don't want to be the pioneer.
Yeah.
But if someone was... then I would probably be in trouble because I would be...
I mean, kind of.
I would be writing Christmas lists.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and it's like, it keeps them contained because it feels like you're the only guy that wants to do it, even though there's people out there that are doing it.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I don't want to do that because this shit just needs to work all the time. I don't care.
Right.
To a certain extent, I just don't care.
And you're not in a place to buy a spare to fuck with. So it's like...
Right.
This just needs to work. Man, maybe some other day.
See, that's the thing. Like, all these YouTube channels, they have their daily driver. And then they go buy these project cars. And they make it look easy because they don't have to get in it and drive it to work on Monday.
Right. Right.
They don't care if it doesn't work on Monday because they go get in their regular daily driver and drive home or whatever.
Right.
It doesn't, and then they just come back.
Or they're living at mom's house.
Yeah.
So they don't have to drive anywhere, or they can use mom's car.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Or they're already independently wealthy, so...
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, there was a dude who he was racing an F1 car with his Bugatti Chiron.
Mm-hmm.
That was fascinating. And he was a young dude. He has a $3.5 million car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they took it out to an airstrip, and he raced the F1 car in his Bugatti.
Did he win?
What the fuck does he do that he can afford a $3.5 million car?
Well, that goes back to like the one 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was talking about the guy bought a brand new Dodge T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then wrecked the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like, 6-figure car, and you're like, whatever. Can't wait to rebuild this with a fucking something else. Like, what?
I mean, spoiler, he did not beat the F1 car. The F1, the power to weight ratio is just too much. But the Chiron, I think it weighs like 3,000 pounds. It's a pretty heavy car.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah. And it's got a 12-cylinder motor in it compared to the...
That's probably like the bulk of that, because the rest of it's probably carbon fiber and aluminum.
Yeah, I was surprised at how they were saying how heavy it was, and I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But... And the F1 car is like the power to weight ratio is like way
ridiculous.
Yeah, way closer.
What did I just see? Someone did something like that, and it was a ludicrous power to weight.
Was it that Caprice with the tank engine?
It was. It was a fuck.
With the 27-liter tank engine.
God damn! It was someone that had gutted a first or second generation Miata and put a early 2000s Honda 2.4 liter 4-cylinder in it, and it was just a hair over 2,000 pounds with like 200. I think I showed my hand already with 220 something horsepower, and he was almost lapping a Porsche GT3.
Oh, geez.
Like, what? And it sounded like he was driving in a fucking tin can.
Yeah.
But he was taking a four-cylinder Miata and punishing the shit out of a GT3. Like, wow.
Well, there is a Miata that has a Hellcat motor in it. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Or at the minimum, it's a Hemi.
Yeah, I don't think it
doesn't quite fit.
I don't know if I've seen the Hellcat one.
The intake sticks up out of the front end because it doesn't have anywhere else to be.
Right.
And it cannot put the power to the ground. It just shreds tires.
I would believe that.
Yeah. You can't. I don't think it's even drivable normally. I don't think you can just take it down. I'm going to run down to the grocery store. No.
Oh.
I don't think you could do that in that
That's
car.
what it was. The channel that I was watching, the Throttle House one, they had a Factory 5, because they have license to do the Shelby replica kit cars.
Oh, okay.
So it was I'm going to butcher the cubic inches of the motor, but it was like a bored over 427 Ford in a 2,000 something and a couple 100 pounds,
yeah,
tube frame Cobra.
Yeah.
And you get in any gear and get it above a certain amount of RPMs and it's sideways on you.
Squirrely.
The power to weight is
Yeah.
absolutely batshit crazy. You cannot keep traction if you're not.
What are those cars? Are they Morgans? Or is that a Morgan that they have that's a modern car it's like a super lightweight tube frame chassis?
From Factory 5?
No, I don't think it's Factory 5. I don't know who it is. I thought it was called a Morgan, where it's just ridiculous power to weight because there's nothing. It doesn't have anything.
Oh.
It's just literally kind of a base bones thing, but it just hauls ass.
Yeah. That put those kind of things, like I would someday like to do like that kind of Shelby Cobra style. They get you with it's $20,000 for a Cobra, but they don't, the guy, I think the one that they were driving, he's like, yeah, that's the in price. He's like, the car that we're driving, the guy is into this car for $80,000. So
what's the difference? Is it like the motor? They're just putting a 6-cylinder
right.
in
So you get $20,000 for everything, but you still need to find a donor motor, a donor drivetrain, donor suspension.
So you're buying a chassis essentially.
Pretty much. But you could go to the junkyard and pull a 20-something Mustang and use all of those parts and significantly lower your cost. But this guy was like, he bought a crate motor, and then did all brand new Mustang parts for all of the.
So are they building it for you?
No, you build it.
Oh, so you just get the body chassis set up from them. Then you're getting all the other set and just putting it together.
Right. They show up with a big truck and they start unloading boxes.
Oh man.
And you hopefully have a garage because you're putting together a car.
Wow.
Would you do that?
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know if I have enough knowledge to be able to do that.
Not to build a whole car, but something tells me like you would. Fuck, just do it.
Me?
Yeah.
Where am I going to do that?
I don't know. We just have to get retired and.
You know what I've been looking at lately is lift systems, just for shits and giggles.
Oh, like the bend packs?
Yeah, they have one. This dude bought a bend pack. They're like basically table scissor lifts, sort of.
Okay.
And he cut holes in the floor, dug it out, poured cement in the bottom of the hole, and then ran his hydraulics through a tube over to the side.
Okay.
And then the bend packs sit in the floor flush. So there's nothing to catch on.
Oh, okay.
You don't trip on it. It's just flush to the cement.
Oh.
And then you just drive over it and you raise it a little bit, put the blocks up under where they need to be, and I'm like, fuck, that would
be nice.
I mean, honestly, a 2-post lift would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't have a garage big enough for that.
I probably don't either, but I would figure it out if I had to. There is somebody makes I don't remember who it was. I saw something as a 2-post lift, and they design them so that you can bolt them down, you torque them down, and then you can use them. And then when you're done with them, you can unbolt them and then store them. So you just leave the anchors in the floor.
The anchors are stay in the okay.
Yeah, the anchors stay in the floor. And then when you want to use your lifts, you can roll them out. They got wheels on the bottom.
Do you have to get a whole work party to remove these steel posts?
No.
And put them over somewhere?
No.
Wow.
They're not that. I mean, they're probably pretty heavy, but not heavy enough that you couldn't move. They have wheels on them, so you could just tip them back and roll them.
I'll be damned.
And I'm like, that is the shit too. The bend packs that sit flush in the floor, and then those that you can just unbolt them and they're not sitting in the middle of your garage. Yeah. That is pretty badass.
I think we're probably relegated to the quick jacks.
Those are cool too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I had to get
that's under 1,500.
Yeah.
That's more of like, but I would have to really be wrenching on cars to justify that one.
Here's something I find interesting. The Mighty Car Mods guys have a set of those.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you see them use them, and why? They never use them. And why do they not use them?
I'm not sure.
I think
because
First step
you can't jack up your car.
Because I don't think you can get to under the car from the sides. I think that bugs them.
I could see that.
Yeah.
And I bet it's problematic because they go on the pinch welds on the side. It's probably a pain in the ass to then try and arrange them so you could get a jack stand in its place and lower, right? So they just jack up old-fashioned and then put a jack
I just
stand.
thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, they have some and they don't even use them. Maybe because it's a pain to like get them out and hook them up to the system, you know. There's you got to hook them up.
I'm not sure. Because a lot of times, if you're up high enough, why would you need to come in at the side anyway? You could just come in from the back side and go all the way to the front side.
I mean, the only other thing is maybe it's a problem from a filming standpoint where it like blocks too much light or something like that. I don't know, but I find it interesting. Like there's a downside to them that we probably don't know or understand, which is the reason why they don't use them.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I don't know what it is. I would honestly, 2-post lift would be the way to go.
Yeah.
I think that would be fucking awesome.
I mean,
I have
need a normal.
I have 9 or 10 foot
how tall
ceilings in my garage. So
do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have that.
Yeah, I got a bunch of space above my door, like probably 3 feet or so above my garage door. So I have plenty of room, like height wise.
Yeah.
I just don't have a lot. There's enough room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would love that. That's like, I probably wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
Had I not
burninating.
I probably wouldn't have burned the shit out of my arm if I had a lift in my garage. I'm not saying I'm gonna buy one. I'm saying I would love to have a situation where I can have one.
Yeah.
Like a 3-car garage where one has a lift in the 3rd car stall. That would be pretty cool. Or I could just go to Dave's house, I guess.
Yeah, just go to Dave. I need you to take one of these quads off of here.
Get all the quads off there. I need
I'm tired of burning my arm.
I'm coming up.
I'm coming up to Penn Valley to change my oil and the filter.
Well, that's not that big of a deal. But like something like I was doing with the transmission, the car has to be up, all 4 wheels, and the car has to be level. And so my solution to that, because I don't really have a way to get all 4 wheels up off the ground at the same height, is I used my ramps on the front, then I jacked up the back and used those square cement blocks.
Yeah.
And it was 4 high was the same height as my ramps. So then I just put those under the rear tires, jack up the other side, and put those under the other rear tire. That got the car up and level. And I could have used a little bit more room, but it worked. It was fine.
Right. You didn't burn your whole arm, so it was close.
It's just because they put that plug, the plug that drains when the temperature of the transmission fluid is at the right temperature. You unscrew a plug, and if you have too much, it comes out. And if it doesn't come out, then you need to add some till it comes out. It's such a convoluted way to do it. But it was right next to the damn exhaust. So I just kind of reached up to like put the plug in to keep it from draining more, and just
kissed it.
Just kissed it, and oh shit, that really hurt. And like right away, it just like turned bright red, and I was like, oh, I'm screwed.
fuck.
But if I was up under the car on the coming from the other side, it would have been no big deal. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to convince my wife that I need to spend a couple $1,000s on a lift.
Yeah.
It would be really cool, and it might be popular.
Okay, Father's Day comes every year. Do the needful.
The wife says, "What do you want for Father's Day?" And I go,
Ben Pack.
No, I go, it doesn't matter because everything's too expensive and no one's going to buy it for me. The things that I want are far too expensive for anyone to want to buy for
Why
me.
do you think I say pancakes every year? Because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings because Daddy wants a Ben Pack.
Yeah. Hey, how about for the next 5 years, you all save up what you would have spent.
Right.
You put it in a pot.
Right.
Then you buy a Ben Pack.
Yeah. Then you move your car out of the garage.
Well, no.
So Daddy can have a Ben Pack.
That's what I'm saying. You could get the ones that you can move. You know? You get those. That's great.
Someone's parking their rear quarter panel in an Anchor, I think.
Who is?
I don't know. In order to fit that, someone would have to be fucked for space. Or
maybe.
Or
I mean, if your garage is tall
your
enough,
son would always have his car on the lift.
And no parts.
Yeah.
Some of the parts are missing.
I'm sorry, my downpipe's gone, Dad. You're like, get the fuck off my lift.
Now, speaking of that, so we had a conversation about this.
Okay.
So Chandler figured out that he had an exhaust leak, and he heard something clunk out of the engine bay, and he presumed it was a bolt that holds his downpipe to his turbo manifold.
Okay.
Right. And it turns out that the downpipe has a bung in it. I just like to say the word bung. Bung.
Bung.
It has a bung in it for a sensor that he's not using because that car doesn't need it. And the bolt that was in the bung had backed itself out over time and popped out.
Okay.
So not that big of a deal. So it wasn't actually where the manifold it meets the turbo or whatever.
Okay.
So he happened to have, they actually send you a couple, I guess, with the downpipe kit.
Okay.
And he actually had an extra. So he got in there, was able to get the nut back in it and plug the hole. But yeah.
Plug the bung.
He stuck it in the bung.
All right.
Yeah. So that was an interesting thing because we were all kind of giving him shit about that. Oh, what? You didn't take the time to tighten down the bolts?
Yeah.
I mean, not that he's never done that to me.
Loctite.
Blink, blink.
Butthole.
Did I tell you that story?
Yes, the suspension one.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Tire. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't align this, sir.
Yes. So when I had my 2004 Civic, it needed a front end suspension. So I bought all the stuff, and Chandler and I went and did it. And Chandler wanted to do most of the work. It's like, okay, fine, if you want to, And so we get it all put back together, and I take it to the shop to get it aligned. And they get it up, and they bring it back really quick. And I was like, damn, that was fast. Something's wrong. And the guy tells me we couldn't do it. And I'm like, why? And he goes, because a bunch of the bolts are all loose. They didn't tighten anything down. So he's assuming that I had done it at a shop. And I'm like, playing along, yeah. Oh
man, I'm so upset.
None of that shit was torqued to spec. And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay, fuckers. So,
I can't wait to beat my son. I mean, talk to that shop.
I did not want to go down the path of being like, yeah, my son and I did that, and he just didn't tighten anything down, apparently.
And I like to live life dangerously, which includes the drive over here.
So, yeah, I had to go home and have him come back like, hey, man, you didn't finish. Come on, let's go. Like, you wanted to do most of the work.
Yeah.
Now it's time to finish.
And you did some of it.
Are you trying to kill me?
Right. You don't get the life insurance. Your mom does.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially I have a thing written in there. If I die in a car that Chandler has just worked on, then he gets zero.
Nothing.
Yeah, in fact, you will take money from him.
Every time we do work on the car, I write a note, and I hand it to your mom, and it says, if something happens to me within 24 to 48 hours of the work we just did on X date, bitch gets nothing.
Send it on. Just forward it right on to the insurance agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
My son may have killed me.
So, yeah, that's scary shit.
Mm.
But put a lift in here so we can use it. That's all I'm saying.
I can only do the ones that I afford.
We can hang lights on it.
Like the... can we? I don't know. I'm getting... I think we've got the end game solution with the lights.
Yeah?
We're pretty close.
Yeah. I know. It would be cool. It would be awesome to be able to do that in your own garage.
I think a couple weeks back, I don't know if we mentioned it, but I was in one of the home improvement stores, and we were talking about the irrigation controllers, your Orbit beehive, and the sandy loam and the type of soil and whatnot. And I sent you a picture. I'm like, is this what you have? I ended up buying one, and this goes back probably almost 6 weeks ago.
Easily.
But I had not installed it.
So you still haven't put it in?
I guess I get there.
Okay.
I mean, it's not building a fence, but it is talking about misters. So I've got these misters in, but I've got some in the front and I've got some in the back now. And getting to them requires going out and turning on the splitter valve and then yay.
You got extra valves.
So I was looking on Amazon because what I wanted was something like that I could remote control the faucet, the valve. And I had, they make Bluetooth ones. Right. So it was like, dime a dozen. Oh, cool, I'm good to go. This is exactly what I was looking for. I'm good. And I had put two in my cart, in my Amazon cart. And then when I did like the selection, and sometimes it's like other customers also viewed, I saw a beehive version what looked like the same exact thing. And I went, well, okay.
So would that be a thing that would be controlled by the same app?
Yes. And so that's what I did. What? I was telling Venus, I'm like, it was more expensive.
Yeah.
But I said, I already know exactly what has to happen with the irrigation controller. Because it's Wi-Fi enabled, I'm going to be putting an app on my phone that will be for this. And these work in the same app. I said, I guarantee you, in order to control these other third-party, no-name Chinese brand knockoffs, it's going to be some app and whatever beehive app that I'm going to need to control the controller itself. I'm like, if I can cut off another app on my phone, bing, done.
A little bit extra work.
Right. So I pulled up the beehive controller just to make sure, will it work within the app? Yes, it is. It's not another Orbit app. So though they took a bit. It wasn't they were back ordered, but they weren't through Prime. So I think it took a week to get here.
They have them at Home Depot.
I didn't see any at Home Depot. Do they have them at ours?
I don't know.
Anyway, so I installed both of them.
Yeah.
I hooked them up 2 days. Today's Wednesday. I think I hooked them up Monday. And since I was doing all of that, I finally hooked up the irrigation controller and ripped out the old one.
Yeah.
That was Toro, by the way.
That's what mine was, too.
If it was a fucking lawnmower, I mean, it lasted, so hey, you did it. Way to go, but too bad you're not a lawnmower. Anyway.
And too bad you're not smart.
Gutted it. A really handy app. I have no complaints. I didn't really punch through all of the nuances of like the smart watering system. I just went with making 3 programs and set my own things.
Right.
But I can control the misters now from the app. Super handy. Set it as long as I want so I don't accidentally leave them running all night like I may have accidentally done a couple times.
Sorry, Folsom Lake.
Right. Yeah, my bad. I'm going to be paying for it either way.
I've got a rainforest here, but you don't have any water.
So it's been really nice for the last couple days to be like, goose it.
Yeah.
Turn it on for 30 minutes, open a window.
I would imagine they have some kind of scheduling thing that you could do that's a frequent scheduling thing.
You can do I could set because the app itself sees the valve controller as like a zone. So I can make a program for the zone just like it was a sprinkler.
Awesome.
So really handy. I have 2 thumbs up for it being able to pair to a Bluetooth thing. It's no Sonos, I'll tell you that. So I have no frustrations there. Fucking Sonos. I have no complaints. The attachment to a Bluetooth device does take a little bit of like, you're not connected. It's not online. Close the app, open the app, and then it detects it. But that's a Bluetooth herky-jerky bullshit that's not unfamiliar.
So wait, it's Bluetooth all the time?
Yes.
Oh, this one's Wi-Fi. The Beehive Smart Hose Faucet Timer with Wi-Fi hub.
That's the hub. You can attach it to a hub, but there's also just a faucet with Bluetooth.
Oh.
So they have one, the hub connects all of them via Bluetooth to the hub. Then you can connect to the hub.
Oh, I see.
Which will then do all the Bluetooth happiness.
So the hub just makes the Wi-Fi to Bluetooth for different zones?
When I saw that one, all I saw was Sonos. Because to me, that is like it's making its own proprietary network. Hopefully, it's stringing a Wi-Fi network between all of the Bluetooth. I didn't know, but I just went for Bluetooth and just called it a day.
I'm guessing it's like the regular Beehive controller because it just attaches to the Wi-Fi of the house, right?
Right.
So I assume this does the same thing.
I think that was more expensive too, though, than just the plain Bluetooth one.
Yeah,
and even then,
this one's $70.
Yeah, I was not going for that.
Okay. Then this is a different one.
Because I still need a third one for the third string. But for now...
Not for $70 a piece.
Not for 70... No, absolutely not.
No. Yeah, that's a little
But
bit
the
more.
ability to walk throughout the house and like turn on the misters now is like... It's handy.
Yeah.
It really is.
So how far away do you have to be in order for it to connect to it? Or no, it just connects...
Like if I'm standing in the hallway, I'm within range of both.
Okay.
So, and if I'm, the amount that I would have to walk, if anything, to reach one or the other, I've been able to do it from the middle of the house. So
now here's an interesting thing. We got the pool in the backyard.
Okay.
What I want to know is the temperature of the water.
Oh boy. Okay.
There are a multitude of thermometers that you can buy for a pool. The little ones that you throw in that are cute and they float around. Like there's a bunch of those. But there's also now a bunch of smart stuff. But the reviews are sort of iffy. And so I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like, if it's Bluetooth, like, is it going to work? And then like people are like, yeah, it worked for a day. And then it stopped giving me any updates on what the temperature is and this kind of stuff. Because we have an above ground pool. The wall is thin. What I want to see is someone that makes a thermometer for the pool that magnets to the side of the pool, like down low, so you can see the actual not the shit where it floats on the top where it's warm. I want to see what it is like halfway down. That's going to tell me the actual temperature. When you get in and your toes curl up because it's cold.
Down at the bottom.
That's like 2 feet down. You know, 2.5 feet down. It's not at the top where you got a hot layer of water. Nobody has anything like that.
So that makes sense.
Like
but
a
then
magnet.
if you're magneting something 2 feet underwater, I can see how that would be problematic for signal. Unless you had something that was like a buoy that had like a 1.5 foot long antenna that floated down below it while it floated on the surface. And so your antenna floats up top, but your thermometer is dangling like a big wang.
A wang dangle?
A wang dangle?
I don't know. I'm going to have to do more research, but I kind of like gave up because I was like, well, I'm not really finding. I don't want just a thing that sits on top. I want something that I can connect to with my phone from the house.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm being kind of picky and like bitch about it maybe, but at the same time, like, hey, if I can do something like that, why not? You know?
Yeah.
Even if it's just Bluetooth.
What do you use for search terms for something like that? Like Wi-Fi pool thermometer?
I've been searching for, like Wi-Fi pool thermometer. I've looked for magnetized pool thermometer, like a whole bunch of different search terms.
Mm-hmm.
And I even found a thread. Someone's like, hey, someone used to make this magnetized pool thermometer, and I can't find it. Yeah, I remember those. I can't find them either. So somebody had one at some point, and they've stopped making it. I don't know why or who.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to, like, magnetize
Do they also
something.
make car wheels?
Probably.
Fucking idiots.
It would be cool to, like, have something that was halfway down in the pool that had a thermometer on the side that something transmitted through.
Yeah.
And gave you the temperature right on the front of the pool. And then.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And that would be perfect. I wouldn't even have to connect my phone. I'd be happy with that. But I can't find anything that does that either. It's just like, I don't know. I'll keep digging around.
See,
if anyone has any suggestions.
See, send a like or subscribe or content or make a comment. Click the bell. No, none of those are the right thing we're looking for.
Yeah.
Send an email.
Yeah. SadDadsClubPodcast@gmail.com. Just fucking send it.
You're right. If you have the link, send it. Especially,
just click the link.
If it's from Alibaba, no big deal. We'll be 57 years old when it gets here via shipping, but
I ordered something that took almost 6 months to get to the house from there. I only spent
ordered
like
off
$7.
Alibaba?
Yeah, or Alibaba or something like. I think pretty sure it was Alibaba, and it took like 6 months to get there. And it was like I had a tracking, and it took like 5 days for it to go like 200 miles to the port. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then it sat in the port for a long time.
You know what's interesting is that I've ordered a couple things in various shipments from Mighty Car Mod, so from Australia. I have had no real delays in getting stuff from Australia. It's the stuff that's coming from Pan-Asia sources that seems to be problematic. Like, hey, we got all of the containers here in Australia.
Yeah.
But none for you.
I mean, I assume it's because they got their own shipping lanes, right?
Yeah, separate.
They're not having to, like, truck it up through the Suez Canal where the Evergreen's fucking them.
Yeah, those guys.
Did you hear about that?
What?
They're still, the Evergreen, the boat that got stuck is still sitting there. They have not released it.
Wait,
it's not
the
in
one that
the
was
canal.
stuck in the Suez?
Yeah, it's been freed from its stuck location, and they moved it up into, I can't remember the name of the body of water that was just north of the canal, like in between the two canal sections. The boat is still sitting in that body of water, and basically the Port Authority, whoever that is like part of the Egyptian government, is demanding $1 billion.
Oh shit!
And the boat's just sitting there. They can't move it. The products are still on the ship.
Wow, when did you hear that?
You can Google it.
Right, but when did you last?
A couple days ago, I looked it up.
No shit.
Yeah, no shit. I'm dead serious.
Wow.
It's still.
I think a bunch of people even it was case closed. Like, oh yeah, it'll get to its destination in 45 fucking days.
They freed up all the shipping lanes for all the other boats that had been hanging around, but that particular ship, because they had to go put it through an inspection, so they made it sit somewhere,
right,
so they could inspect the boat, and then they'd never released it, basically saying to the owners of the boat, like, we want $1 billion in damages and this kind of stuff, and the boat owners, and so the people are actually manning the ship. They have to maintain it from a day to day, so they can't leave.
Right.
Some of the people that were on the ship, their contract have expired in that amount of time. They have left, but they had to replace them with other people. So other people have now come onto the ship that are replacements for the people who were there.
Yeah.
But they can't. The ship cannot leave until they have settled whatever this thing is with the Port Authority.
Wow, that sounds like there was I during that whole thing, there was a story about a series of ships that I can't remember why they had gotten cordoned off, but there was a series of ships from various nations that all is kind of same scenario, like, we're not letting you go from here, and no one could leave. You couldn't really leave, so it became like it's like a small nation, and people would go from boat to boat, but no one could leave the area anymore.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like that.
Yeah.
How crazy!
It's totally nuts. I was reading stuff about it, and it's just like kind of like blows your mind. Like they haven't settled on a price or whatever it is, and apparently the amount of money that the port is asking for is like astronomical compared to other similar. Not even similar, but like same kind of disasters.
Right.
Like literally, they asked for $1 billion. $1 billion. Like that's just fucking. Oh yeah, insane.
And the shipping company's like,
no.
Yeah.
So they're in negotiations, and then there's like the courts are involved, and so you just who knows when they're going to actually get the Evergreen sailing again, because it's just sitting there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I remember when we were talking about it, because when it was a big deal, what was that, 2 months ago or something?
Yeah.
There was that shipping tracking app that Will turned us on to.
Oh yeah.
And I remember after it got freed, I watched it for a while, and I noticed it stopped there. And I went, oh, it's still there. And then like every few days I would check and go, oh, damn, it's still there. And then I started seeing headlines that were like, well, it has to be inspected. And then it's like, well, now the Port Authority is wanting $1 billion. And so the ship is literally not moved. It is still there. So one of the articles I read was like, if there was food on it, it's all rotten. If there were animals on it, they're all dead. If there's IKEA furniture, if there's this or that, it's all still there. They cannot offload anything from it. It's just there.
And I'm sure businesses have probably already filed for insurance claims.
Yeah.
Or, if not, they would be kind of silly. Now they've probably the bulk of the people who've got shit on there probably have all written it off. They're like, fuck it, we don't want it. We're not going to help you pay for that. Fuck it. Bye.
I think that it holds something ridiculous like 24,000 containers.
Wow.
I don't remember. I want to say it's tens of thousands of containers. I don't remember exactly, but it is an astronomical number of containers that this ship has on it.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling to me to think all the shit that set sail a couple of months ago is still just sitting on a boat, still in the Suez Canal. It hasn't left the area. It's just still there.
That's fascinating.
I know. It blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Because it was such a big thing, like how much shit was lost.
Oh, yeah.
And how much it's going to hurt these economies because that thing was stuck there.
Yeah.
A lot of it had to do with the clogging of the canal itself and all of that commerce. But the ship itself had a pretty substantial amount of capital, and that was hindering supply chains all along. Obviously, someone's doing the math and saying now that the lane is unclogged, fucking right off.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it from I guess if you look at it from the port's perspective, I'm not saying you got to look at it but if you look at it from the port's perspective, they clogged up the channel for a week or whatever it was.
Right.
So the port lost income.
Right.
From how many boats would have crossed through there in a day.
Right.
For a week straight or whatever it was. I think it was a week.
Mm-hmm.
That is a significant amount of money. There's a calculator. I remember digging it up. There's a calculator you can find. From a ship standpoint, you can go in and fill out this form and figure out what your shipping cost for paying the port is.
Okay.
And that's a fascinating thing too. It was weeks ago when it was back when the Evergreen got stuck, and I had looked it up. Well, how much is it to send a ship through the port in general? And it's it's not cheap. It is very expensive. I mean, probably for the shipping companies, not a big deal. It's just the cost of doing business. But when you look at it as a person, like, it is mind-blowing how much money it costs. I don't remember what those numbers were, but it was insane. So you figure a ship like the Evergreen that has that much tonnage.
Yeah, but
and then there were hundreds of those on both ends of the canal
Waiting.
that couldn't move.
Right.
That's a lot of money every day they lost out on.
How many days was it clogged?
I want to say it was like 7 days, 6 or 7 days, something like that.
Sounds about right. How many days? Hey Siri, how many days was the Evergreen clogging the Suez? Your mom. What?
6 days.
Check it out. I got 3 links, and that was totally a joke.
She's always listening.
Shit. I thought my watch would kick off, but it didn't.
I mean, it's
6 days?
Yeah, 6 days. And they're saying that the amount of trade that it blocked was 9.6 billion. So really, 1 billion is kind of a drop in the hat.
Yeah.
For, it's compared to the total amount of money that they lost.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. That whole maritime, it's not covered by international law. There's maritime law involved, and that's totally it's a whole
own animal.
thing.
Yeah.
That's weird shit. Like sometimes you read about some of the stuff, and it's like
I've seen
that's
some weird
how that
shit.
works.
Usually happens in Haulover Inlet, but
yeah. Now imagine one of those ships getting stuck in Haulover Inlet and no one being able to get in and out.
I'm just trying to get out to the other side of the inlet so my girls can show the titties.
Exactly.
And you're clogging up my shway, fuckers.
Yeah. How much would that port charge?
Duh.
I mean, they're not doing trade out of there, but
what I was watching one of those the other day, and Xander walked in, and I was trying to. He was disinterested because it was. I think the caption was like, "Father totally soaks his family," but he had missed a clip, so he's watching the span of like 7-something minutes, and he's like,
"Where is it?
I don't like where." What?
You missed it, dude.
Like, what does soaked mean? I'm like, you probably missed it. I just have it running on the side now as like random, like I'll catch shit. And I ended up replaying one where some girl in a bow and the dude takes like a bad thing and chick just gets flat out boosted out of the side. And so I called him back in there. I'm like, here, watch this one. I mean, if you want to see a train wreck, here, watch this one. And boom, boom, she bounces up out of the boat, and he's like, okay. And I went, get the fuck out of here.
Nothing shocks that kid.
God damn it.
He's like old school or something. I don't know.
He's like, I really need to see something egregious like gore.
Like, I remember back in the 20s, I saw that.
Oh, look, she's shaking her butt. That's gross. Well, you give it another year, and you'll think something else.
Yeah, it's the other one of the Haulover Inlet is the boat launch.
Oh, yeah.
The 57th Street boat launch or whatever it is. Have you seen those?
No.
That's fascinating as well. I have now seen someone dump a Mercedes SUV in there and have to get it towed out. A fucking motorhome, an entire diesel pusher motorhome in the water. Dude.
I saw the one of the guys that films it was a launch, but it wasn't anything more than a short. I think I put it in our Discord. And it was a boat full of people. It looked like a lake boat, but it was because it didn't have an outboard. And he's standing on the back teak deck of this thing, and he's sitting on it to start, and he's like waiting, and he's wearing a hat, and he's got his feet in the water, and he's kind of like, and he is clearly hammered to shit.
Yes.
Sun and way too much booze, and he like manages to get up, but you can tell he's already a pro at the fish dance because he's got no legs, and he is fucking all over the place, and he makes like 2 steps towards the edge of the back deck, and he falls off into the water. I mean, it's shallow, so he stands up quick, and he like everyone on the boat kind of looks at him like, dude, you fell over. And the first thing he does is he stands up and he points at like you fucking push me. I mean, it's like a 30-second clip, and it's hilarious because he had no bearing.
Nobody even came
Nobody
near
was
him.
even close. No one was giving this guy any business. And the closest person to him was like half passed out with like, he's just eyes closed. And he gets up out of the water and like points like, you push me. And everyone's just like, dude, your hat. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious.
Well, the boat launch one's funny because they're showing the people trying to back their trailers.
Oh yeah,
and there's a narrator talking about it, and then there was one where like he gets on a jet ski and he gets the jet ski turned and there's a boat right behind him and it's one of those jet skis that spews the little stream of water.
Oh yeah,
so he gives it some gas and the rooster tail hits the boat.
Oh,
and the guy on the boat's fucking furious. I mean, he is so mad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so he's just jawing at the guy. Like, you can see he just wanted to he wanted to jump out of his own boat and go kick the guy's ass.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's crazy because, especially on the weekends, how much traffic this boat dock gets.
No.
And boat ramp gets. There's like multiple docks, multiple areas to back into, and it's just like boats all over the fucking place.
That's what was nice about when we did boatings on weekends about the Clementine Reservoir up there at Forest Hill was the road getting to it, like down to it in that Forest Hill ravine. The road there was like a filter of stupidity. Like you could not be a new boat towing person and
survive it
and get there, get down or get up.
Yeah.
Everything was 1.5 lanes, maybe at best, at the widest spot, and switchbacks up the ass, and you've got traffic on that amount of like you had to know what you were doing, or you were planning around the traffic, which then you're losing time being on the lake. So it taught you real fast like how to handle your shit and get how trailering worked.
Where's the boat launch there? Is it near the dam, or is it somewhere else?
The way that it works out, it's not too far. I think you can see the Forest Hill Bridge, but it's up by like not a cofferdam, but it's a civil engineer.
Is it the Clementine Dam?
Yes.
So it must be this little road right. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. It's
fascinating.
It is no joke. It teaches you fast.
Yeah, that is pretty tight in there.
Yeah. And like there's one hairpin that you're almost praying that you are not catching another one, because it's what made that easy for us is that at the time we had the Durango, so we had a short wheelbase thing towing the 20-something foot trailer.
Yeah.
So we had it easy, but John had the truck, which was bigger, longer.
So he was pulling his corners real wide.
His turning was way down. I mean, it was super easy for Venus and I in the fucking Durango. We and made the turn really easy. Anyway.
Yeah, that looks gnarly. I'm looking at the map to get there. That Lake Clementine Road.
Yep.
Ooh.
No joke.
Yikes.
We're at time.
All right. Well,
are you throwing any curveballs?
Don't forget to rub your nuts.
Wait, what? Wash your hands?
Wash your face.
Stroke the shaft?
Wash your face.
Wear the mask?
Wash your hands. Wash your ass.
Wear the mask. Return the cart.
And get the shot.
Yeah, do the kindness.
Do the kindness. Did you already say that?
I don't know, maybe.
Right.
And we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.